ॐ शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्वजम्। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிரக்தோ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரோ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரோ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तेरनभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽह्यम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीलधाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറും രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കുന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so we'll do a quick review of 86. Madhu, you can do one half. Amutaji, can you do the second half, 86?
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Madhuji.
Om Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dashakam 86. Salvadi Vadha Varnanam Bharata Yuddha Varnanam cha. साल्वो भैष्मी विवाहे यदुबल विजितः चन्द्रचूडाद्विमानम् विन्दन् सौभ्यं समायी त्वयि वसति कुरून् त्वत्पुरीम् अभ्यभाङ्क्षीत् प्रद्युम्नस्तं निरुन्धन् निखिल यदुभटैः न्यग्रहीदुग्रवीर्यं तस्यामात्यं द्युमन्तं व्यजने च समरः सप्तविंशत्यहान्तः
Madhu, that second word, Saubham. I heard a ya sound when you said it. It's just Saubham. Okay.
The second line, second
Bindan
word. Yeah,
Saubham.
Vindan Saubham. Okay. Saubham. Okay.
Yeah.
तावत्त्वं रामशाली त्वरितमुपगतः खण्डितप्रायसैन्यं सौभेशं तं न्यरुन्धाः स च किल गदया शार्ङ्गमभ्रंशयत्ते मायातातं व्यहिंसीदपि तव पुरतः तत्त्वयापि क्षणार्धं नाज्ञायीत्याहुरेके तदिदमवमतं व्याप्य एवन्यषेधीत् क्षिप्त्वा सौभं गदाचूर्णितम् उदकनिधौ मङ्क्षुसाल्वेऽपि चक्रे नोत्कृत्ते दन्तवक्त्रः प्रसभमभिपतन् अभ्यमुञ्चद्गदां ते कौमोदक्या हतोऽसावपि सुकृतनिधिश्चैद्यवत् प्राप I'm sorry.
Correct. You're right. Chaidyavat Prapadaikyam.
चैद्यवत् प्रापदैक्यं सर्वेषामेष पूर्वं त्वयि धृतमनसां मोक्षणार्थोऽवतारः त्वय्या यातेऽथ जाते किल कुरु सदसि द्यूतके संयतायाः क्रन्दन्त्या याज्ञसेन्याः सकरुणमकृथाश्चेलमालाम् अनन्ताम् अन्नान्तप्राप्तशर्वां शजमुनिचकित द्रौपदी चिन्तितोऽथ प्राप्तशाकान्नमश्नन् मुनिगणमकृथाः तृप्तिमन्तं वनान्ते युद्योद्यौगेथ मन्त्री मिलितसति वृतस्फल्गुनेन त्वमेकः कौरव्ये दत्तसैन्यः करिपुरमगमो दौत्यकृत्पाण्डवार्थम् भीष्मद्रोणादिमान्ये तव खलु वचने दृक्कृते कौरवेण व्यावृण्वन् विश्वरूपं मुनिसदसि पुरीं भोक्षयित्वा गतो भूः
Last word, Kshobayitva Gato Bhuhu.
क्षोभयित्वा गतो भूः.
Then the first word, say that first word, Yudhyodhyoget. That.
युद्धो is it युद्धो?
Yeah, Yuddhodhyoget.
युद्धोद्योगेथ मन्त्रे.
Yeah. Okay. You can just do first two lines of the next stanza.
Okay. जिष्णोस्त्वं कृष्णसूतः खलु समरमुखे बन्धुघाते दयालुं खिन्नं तं वीक्ष्य वीरं किमिदमयि सखे नित्य एकोऽयमात्मा.
को वत्या कोऽत्र हन्ता तदिकवदपि यं प्रोच्य मय्यर्पितात्मा धर्म्यं युक्तं चरेति प्रकृतिम् अनयता दर्शयन् विश्वरूपम् भक्तोत्तम सेत भीष्मे तव तरणि परक्षेप कृत्यगसक्ते नित्यं विभिनन्दत् ययुध समधिकं प्राप्त साधे च पार्थे निःशस्त्र त्वप्रतिज्ञां विगदतरिवरं धारयन् क्रोधशाली वादावन् प्राज्ञालिं तं शिरसमथो वीक्ष्य मोदाद पाकाः.
Mutaji, and that's the last line, fourth line, second word, in pranjalim, in sound, pranjalim, thumb.
Pranjalim.
Yeah, and then the
Pranjalim.
second line middle word on the vibhindatyayuta.
Vibunda.
Nitya,
Vibunda. Vibunda.
you know, B sound, vibhindatyayuta.
Vibunda.
இல்ல
அந்த
இந்த அது வந்து அந்த you cannot break அந்த வேர்டை பிரேக் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ அதனால
ஓகே ஓகே விபுந்த ஏயுத.
ஏயுத.
ஸோ இட்ஸ் காம்பவுண்ட் கண்டினியூஸ் ஆகுது.
ஆமா.
யுத்தே துரோணஸ்ய ஹஸ்திஸ்திரரண பகதத்தேரிதம் வைஷ்ணவாஸ்திரம் வக்ஷஸ்யா தத்த சக்ரஸ் தகிதரவிமகாக பிரார்த்தயத் சிந்துராஜம் நாகாஸ்திரே கர்ணமுக்தே க்ஷிதிம் அவனமயன் கேவலம் கிருத்தமௌலிம் தத்ரே தத்ராபி பார்த்தம் கிமிவ நகி பவான் பாண்டவானாம் அகார்ஷீத் யுத்தாதௌ தீர்த்த காமி சகலு ஹலதரோ நைமிஷ க்ஷேத்ரமிருச்சன் அப்ரத்யுத்தயாயி சூதக்ஷயக்ருதத சுதம் தத்பதே கல்பயித்வா. இதுவும் அந்த எண் வருமாங்கன்ற இடத்துல.
ஆமா
இல்ல
ஆமா.
யக்ஞம் பல்வலம் பர்வணி பர்தலயன் ஸ்நாத தீர்த்தோரணாந்தே சம்பிராப்தோ பீமதுர்யோதனரணமசமம் வீக்ஷ்ய யாதபுரீம் தே சம்சுப்த திரௌபதேய க்ஷபண ஹததியம் திரௌணிமேத்ய त्वदुक्त्या तन्मुक्तं ब्रह्ममस्त्रं समहृद विजयो मौलिरत्नं च जह्रे उच्चित्यै पाण्डवानां पुनरपि च विशद्युत्तार गर्भमस्त्रे रक्षन्नङ्गुष्टमात्रः किल ஜடரமகாக சக்கரபாணிர்விபோத்வம்.
And the second line, second word, Brahmamastram, A sound, okay? Brahmamastram.
Brahmamastram, okay. Tanmuktam Brahmamastram.
Yeah.
Dharmaugam Dharmasunor Abidat Tattagilam சந்தமிருத்யுஸ்ஸ பீஷ்மக துவாம் பஷ்யன் பக்தி பூம் நைவஹி சபதியையோ நிஷ்கல பிரம்மபூயம் சம்யாஜ்யாயதாஸ்வமேதைஸ் திரிபுரதிமகதை தர்மஜம் பூர்ணகாமம் சம்பிராப்தோ துவாரகாம் துவம் பவனபுரபதே பாஹி மாம் சர்வரோகாத். ஸ்ரீ கிருஷ்ணாய பரபிரமணே நமக.
The third line, first part of it, samyajyatashva medhais.
Samyajyadasvamedai. Medais. Okay. Iswar, okay. Samyajyadasvamedai stripiradim.
You again using jaya, you're saying it's jya, J-Y-A. Samyajyatashvamedhais.
Okay, jya. Ijwan ஆ வரக்கூடாது இந்த இடத்துல.
ஆ வரக்கூடாது. Ijwan, yeah, jya. Okay.
Jya.
அது வந்து அது remember the word it as samyajya is one word and then ashwamedhais, that's the next word, right?
Okay,
so samyajyatashvamedhais, it goes as one word but it's samyajya ashwamedhais. Okay. I know that was a hard chapter. Both of you did really well. That's a little bit of a tough chapter. That's come there.
All right. Thank you, Rajesh.
Even though we practiced, I still struggled.
I know, no, some Dashakams are hard. Like I told last time, 86 is hard, so and some in 90 are going to be that way also, but 87 is easy. So one relief in between. All right. Priya, you can be a student, and Harini, you can be a student. Okay, so Dashakam 87, Kuchelo Pakyanam. कुचेलनामा भवतः सतीर्थ्यतां गतः स सान्दीपनिमन्दिरे द्विजः त्वदेकरागेण धनादिनिस्पृहो दिनानि निन्ये प्रशमी गृहाश्रमी. So the Mahabharata war, all of that is completed, right? So now we'll go to what kind of happens after that. So at one point, when Gatasa Sandipani, in Dashakam 76, Gatwa Sandipani Mata, when they learned Krishna did not go to school, they finally sent him to Sandipani Ashrama. So there he met a friend whose name is Sudama. So the word Kuchela, I'll tell you what it means, why it's referred here. So his name is Sudama. So he was one of the friends of Krishna, along with a very close friend of Krishna. And at that time, he was a Brahmana, right? And after that, they lost touch. Krishna and Sudama lost touch. But Sudama continued to be somebody who was pursuing the Vedic knowledge. He was detached from all sense attachments, more than anything else, right? Well, like I said, when they use the word Brahmana in this context, they mean somebody who has control over the mind, control over the senses, not attached to material things, and is in that right path. That is a true definition. So he was one of such exemplaries, one who followed all of that stuff. His name is Kuchela because Kuchela is somebody who's dressed in a very bad, ragged clothes. That's the meaning of it. That's not his real name, right? So anybody who's like a beggar who doesn't have any good clothes, is dressed in torn clothes, worn out clothes, he's a Kuchela. So that's why he's referred to, he's called that way because he was extremely poor. He had absolutely no money and he was still staying by that. So this was the old friend of Krishna who he had met. Kuchela Nama Bhavatah, put is Bhavatas Satirtyatam, comma. Gatah, put is Gatas Sa Sandipani Mandire Dvijaha. Dvija refers to a Brahmin. Twadeka Ragena Dhanadi Nispruho, comma. Dinani Ninye Prashami Grihashrami. Grihashrami. He was a householder. कुचेलनामा भवतः सतीर्थ्यतां गतः स सान्दीपनिमन्दिरे द्विजः त्वदेकरागेण धनादिनिस्पृहो दिनानि निन्ये प्रशमी गृहाश्रमी.
कुचेलनाम भवदः सतीर्थ्यतां गतः स सान्दीपनिमन्दिरे द्विजः त्वदेकरागेण धनादिनिस्पृहो दिनानि निन्ये प्रशमी गृहाश्रमी. कुचेलनामा भवदः सतीर्थ्यतां गतः स सान्दीपनिमन्दिरे द्विजः त्वदेकरागेण धनादिनिस्पृहो दिनानि निन्ये प्रशमी गृहाश्रमी.
कुचेलनामा भवतः सतीर्थ्यतां गतः स सान्दीपनिमन्दिरे द्विजः त्वदेकरागेण धनादिनिस्पृहो दिनानि निन्ये प्रशमी गृहाश्रमी. कुचेलनामा भवतः सतीर्थ्यतां गतः स सान्दीपनिमन्दिरे द्विजः त्वदेकरागेण धनादिनिस्पृहो दिनानि निन्ये प्रशमी गृहाश्रमी.
Stanza 2. समानशीलापि तदीयवल्लभा तथैव नोचित्तजयं समीयुषी कदाचिदूचे बत वृत्तिलब्धये रमापतिः किं न सखा निषेव्यते. So his wife's name was Kalyani. So she was also like him. So they explicitly saying that she was also like him in the sense that she had control over her senses. She was also not attached to material things and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they are extremely poor and they had a lot of children. So as somebody who's taking care of the house, she always felt that they needed a little bit more wealth, not because she was greedy, right? So they are explicitly saying that it's not that she's greedy, but she has to take care of the house and they don't have enough money. So still she was like him, but not quite up to him in terms of chitta jayam, in terms of winning over the mind. So he didn't care about how much they were struggling. She cared about how much they were struggling. So at least she wanted to take care of it. So, now that we are old, we always say, oh, when I was in college, this person was my buddy, was a great cricket player or a singer. He's now become an MP. We talk about all of those things, right? So similarly, Sudama also used to say all the time, the guy I studied with, he's Dwarakadish. Right, he is the ruler of Dwaraka. He's Shripati. Right, he's married. Himself is married to the goddess of prosperity. So he boasts about Krishna all the time because Krishna studied with him. So one day, or several times, she goes and tells him, you keep telling about this friend of yours who's the Dwarakadhish, which is the richest kingdom at that time in Dwaraka, and he's married. He has so much wealth, right? And we know that Krishna takes care of brahmanas, takes care of poor people and people who are in care. How come you don't ever approach him, right? You should go approach him because I'm sure we are so poor that this is insignificant for him, right? It's a rounding error to take care of us. So you should definitely go talk to him. Why have you not done that? So one day she decides to go and ask him, and she asks it several times. One final day it clicks. Samana Shilapi Tadiya Vallabha, Tathaiva no Chitta Jayam Sameyushi Kadachiduche Bata Vritti Labdhaye, Ramapatihi, put a Ramapatih Kim na Sakha Nishevyate. Ramapati Sakha, he is your friend. Samanashilapi Tadiya Vallabha Tathaiva no Chitta Jayam Samheyushi Kadachiduche Bata Vritti Labdhaye Ramapatih Kim na Sakha Nishevyate.
समानशीलापि तदीयवल्लभा तथैव नोचित्तजयं समेयुषी कदाचिदूचे बत वृत्तिलब्धये रमापतिः किं न सखा निषेव्यते समानशीलापि तदीयवल्लभा तथैव नोचित्तजयं समेयुषी कदाचिदूचे बत वृत्तिलब्धये Ramapatih kim na sakha nishevyate.
Samanashilapi tadiyavallabha tataiva no chittajayam sameyushi kadachiduche batavritti labdhaye samapatih kim na sakha nishevyate.
Last word, Ramapatih.
Ramapatih.
Yes.
समानशीलापि तदीयवल्लभा तथैव नो चित्तजयं समेयुषी कदाचिदूचे बत वृत्तिलब्धये रमापतिः किं न सखा निषेव्यते.
Sansatri. Iti hritoyam priyaya kshudartaya jugupsamanopi dhane madavahe tada twadalokana kautukadhyayau vahan patante pritukanupayanam. So when repeatedly she keeps telling, you have this friend, you keep telling about this friend, why don't you go meet him? Why don't you go ask for money? So one day he says, you know what, you're right. Because, to go get a darshan of Sri Krishna is the greatest blessing one can have. So he says I should be proactively, I should have thought about, right? He said, I should have wanted to go see Krishna, not because he needs any money, right? But because he wants to go see Krishna. So he says, why haven't I thought about it before? He says, why didn't you tell me enough times before? So his wife, this is there in Bhagavatam, but his wife says very beautifully, you are right. It didn't strike for you. It didn't strike for me all these days. It struck now because now is when Krishna is ready to meet you. Right? That's why I am also feeling that you should go meet him. You also suddenly feel that, yeah, I should have gone and met him. Why haven't we thought about all these days? So she says, this is an opportune moment, right? Krishna is thinking about you. You should take this opportunity to go meet him. So he says, okay, I have to take something. Now they have absolutely, they're dirt poor. They have absolutely nothing. So what she does is she actually goes to her neighbors and each one gives her one handful flattened rice, poha, dry poha, flattened. Each one gives only one handful. She doesn't even have one handful of that in her house. So she takes 4 handfuls of this poha, takes a dirty cloth that she actually has, wraps it up, and says, "This is the only thing we can afford to give Krishna. So you take this and then you go meet your friend." Itiritoyam, and she wants him to go ask for money when he goes there. Itiritoyam priyaya kshudartaya, comma, jugup samanopi dhane madavahe tada twadalokana kautukadhyayau, one word, kautukadhyayau, comma, bahan patante pritukanupayanam. इति ऋतोऽयं प्रियया क्षुधार्तया जुगुप्समानोऽपि धने मदावहे तदा त्वदालोकनकौतुकाध्ययौ वहन् पटान्ते पृतुकानुपायनम्.
इतीरितोऽयं प्रियया क्षुधार्तया जुगुप्समानोऽपि धने मदावहे तदा त्वदालोकनकौतुकाध्ययौ वहन् पटान्ते पृतुकानुपायनम्. इतीरितोऽयं प्रियया क्षुधार्तया जुगुप्समानोऽपि धने मदावहे तदा त्वदालोकनकौतुकाध्ययौ वहन् पटान्ते पृतुकानुपायनम्.
इतीरितोऽयं प्रियया क्षुधार्तया जुगुप्समानोऽपि धने मदावहे तदा त्वदालोकनकौतुकाध्ययौ वहन् पटान्ते पृतुकानुपायनम्. इतीरितोऽयं प्रियया क्षुधार्तया जुगुप्समानोऽपि धने मदावहे तदा त्वदालोकनकौतुकाध्ययौ वहन् पटान्ते पृतुकानुपायनम्.
That's a fourth. गतो ह्यमाश्चर्यमयीं भवत्पुरीं गृहेषु शैब्या भवनं समेहिवान् प्रविश्य वैकुण्ठमिवापनिर्वृतिं तवाति सम्भावनया तु किं पुनः. So he's going from a place called Sudama Puri, which is current Porbandar, right, where Gandhiji was there. So he's going from Porbandar to Dwaraka, right, the location. Dwaraka was, of course, in the sea at that time. So, he's just going, it's difficult to get to Dwaraka because it's in the sea. So you have to go through a bridge and all of that stuff. Somehow it takes time, few days, and finally he manages to get there. When he enters into Dwaraka, he's just absolutely stunned at the wealth of Dwaraka. He says, that's why it says, as if, Pravishya Vaikuntham, he feels that I have entered Vaikuntham because it's just absolutely stunning. And each of the 16,000 wives, 16,008 wives Krishna has, each of them has a palace of its own. And it's just impossible to even navigate through the streets of Dwaraka, right? And so he's just somehow manages, he comes to hear that Krishna is in the house of Mitravinda. So Shaibya Bhavanam, when the word comes there, refers to that Krishna was that day in the house of Mitravinda, one of his wives. So he managed to enter there. When he enters there, he sees so many people waiting to meet Dwarakadish appointments, right? So many people are waiting there, and he sees all these people having so many things as gifts to give to Krishna. So he's first of all thinking, I am like a beggar who has come. Chance of me meeting Krishna is going to be very little. And plus, look what I have got versus what everybody else has actually got to give Krishna, right? So he's thinking, wondering what's going to happen. At that time, because he's blessed, Krishna sees him from inside. Krishna comes, he has come. So Krishna himself comes out here and then is going and receiving Sudama in. Gatoyam, so that's why it says, Tavati Sambhavanaya. What more reception, what more welcome can one expect that Krishna himself is coming out and getting Sudama and taking him inside. Gatoyam, I'm just breaking at that ma there. Gatoyam Ascharyamayim Bhavat Purim, comma, Griheshu Shaibya Bhavanam Sameyivan Pravishya Vaikunthamivapa Nirvritim, comma, Tavati Sambhavanaya tu kim punaha. Gato yamascharyamayim bhavat purim griheshu shaibya bhavanam sameyivan pravishya vaikunthamivapa nirvritim tavati sambhavanaya tu kim punaha.
गतोऽयमाश्चर्यमयीं भवत्पुरीं गृहेषु शैभ्या भवनं समेयिवान् प्रविश्य वैकुण्ठमिवापनिर्वृतिं तवाति सम्भावनया तु किं पुनः गतोऽयमाश्चर्यमयीं भवत्पुरीं गृहेषु शैभ्या भवनं समेयिवान् प्रविश्य वैकुण्ठमिवापनिर्वृतिं तवाति सम्भावनया तु किं पुनः
गतोऽयम् आश्चर्यमयीं भवत्पुरीं गृहेषु शैभ्या भवनं समेयिवान् प्रवेश्य वैकुण्ठमिवापनिर्वृतिं तवाति सम्भावनया तु किं पुनः गतोऽयम् आश्चर्यमयीं भवत्पुरीं गृहेषु शैभ्या भवनं समेयिवान् प्रवेश्य वैकुण्ठमिवापनिर्वृतिं तवाति सम्भावनया तु किं पुनः
प्रपूजितं तं प्रियया च वीजितं करे गृहीत्वा कथयः पुराकृतं यदिन्धनार्थं गुरुदारचोदितैः अपर्तु वर्षं तदमर्षिकानने. So Krishna personally holds him by hand, welcomes him, takes him inside, and as a Brahmana, he then washes his feet. Very similar to we saw in the Rajasuya Yajna when Yudhishthira was performing in the Dasakam 85. Krishna took that ownership of doing it. Similarly, he does that. Then Sri Mahalakshmi, Rukmini herself is coming and fanning him. So when the people in the palace are actually looking at this, saying, "Who is this person?" That Dwarakadish, he's a ruler. He's going out, bringing this person in. He's seating him, he's washing his feet, and Rukmini is fanning him. What greatness has this person done in his previous life that, that Krishna himself is doing all of these things. And then they, Krishna, then, they both talk, right? So they both talk, reminisce about their school days. So Krishna then tells Rukmini about, and Mitravinda, about the school days. He says, when we were, that's the example that is mentioned here, is when we were in Sandipani's ashramam, one day Sudama and I go to pick up some wood. And we go to the forest, it suddenly starts raining, it suddenly gets dark everywhere, and then we get stuck because the lightning, all that stuff, it gets dark, it's rainwater everywhere. We both had to spend the night at the forest alone. We were afraid of all the wild animals, we kept each other company, gave each other confidence, and only in the next morning, Sandipani, the guru, came looking for them. So he talks about all these experiences that Krishna and Sudama had encountered when they were in their school in their time. प्रपूजितं तं प्रियया च वीजितं, करे गृहीत्वा कथयः. That word will come together. Grihitva katayah. That becomes a visarga, becomes a F sound. So grihitva katayah purakritam. Yadin dhanartam guru dara choditaihi. The ra goes away. Visarga, comma, choditaihi. Next word starts with the a. Apartu varsham tadamarshi kanane. Prapujitam tam priyaya cha vijitam kare grihitva khatayah purakritam yadindhanartham gurudara choditaihi apartu varsham tadamarshi kanane.
प्रभूजितं तं प्रियया च वीजितं करे गृहीत्वा कथयः पुराकृतं यदिन्दनार्थं गुरुदारचोदितैः अपर्तु वर्षं तदमर्षिकानने प्रभूजितं तं प्रियया च वीजितं करे गृहीत्वा कथयः पुराकृतं यदिन्दनार्थं गुरुदारचोदितैः अपर्तु वर्षं तदमर्षिकानने
प्रपूजितं तं प्रियया च वीजितं करे गृहीत्वा कथयः पुराकृतं यदिन्दनार्थं गुरुदारचोदितैः अपर्तु वर्षं तदमर्षिकानने प्रपूजितं तं प्रियया च वीजितं करे गृहीत्वा कथयः पुराकृतं यदिन्द्यनार्तं गुरुदारचोदितैः अपर्तुवर्षं तदमर्षिकानने.
That's a six. त्रपाजुषोऽस्मात् पृथुकम् बलादत प्रगृह्य मुष्टौ सकृदाशिते त्वया कृतं नन्वियतेति सम्भ्रमाद् रमा किलोपेत्यकरं रुरोधते. Krishna is inquiring about him. He says that I know when you were in school, you didn't care about all of these material desires. You were always focused on learning and all of that. Are you still like that? Have you settled down, right? Have you married somebody? Even if you're married, I'm sure you're following the right religious principles and all of that stuff. Unlike any friend would ask, because Krishna knows because Sudama has not yet given whatever gift he has got for Krishna, right? Because he's very, apprehensive, he's very embarrassed to give what he has. So Krishna knows that. So there's a beautiful stanza in Bhagavatam where Krishna tells Sudama that Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Upagrutam Ashnami Prayadatmanaha. He says, my greatest of devotees, it doesn't care to me what they give. They can give me a patram, they can give me one single leaf, pushpam, they can offer me one flower, or thoyam, they can give me a drop of water. So any of these things that is given with the greatest of devotion surpasses anything that anybody else can actually give. So Krishna is telling Sudama, don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed to hold off to try to do it, because you have come with so much devotion, you have come with so much friendship that is absolutely topmost to me. So Krishna asks Sudama, what have you got? Right? But Sudama still is refusing to give what he has. So at that time, he sees that he's holding on to something. So Krishna goes and grabs that. And he goes and grabs that and he says, okay, you have got this. I see that you have packed and got this for me. With it, he takes one mushti, he takes one handful of this poha, and then Krishna eats it. Then when he's about to go and take the second handful and eat again, at that time, Sambramat Rama Kilopete Karam Rurod. Karam is hand. So Rama, so Rukmini, who's actually there, is holding on to Krishna's hands. He's saying, Krishna, you had enough today. One handful of avil is enough for you today, right? That's, you don't have to eat anything more. The whole world is going to get satisfied with you eating one handful of this poha in a happy way, right? So you are already satisfied. So she stops him from eating more. Trapa jushosmat prithukam baladata, प्रगृह्य मुष्टौ सकृदाशिते त्वया कृतं नन्वियतेति sambhramat, and then put a plus. So if you have a dra in Sanskrit, you're just making it as a it and a ra. Okay. So sambhramat, put a plus. Rama kilopetya karam rurodhate. Trapa jushosmat pratukam baladata pragrihya mushtau sakridashite tvaya kritam nanviyateti sambhramat rama kilopetya karam rurodhate.
त्रपाजुषोऽस्मात् पृथुकं बलादत प्रगृह्य मुष्टौ सकृताशिते त्वया कृतं नन्वियतेति सम्भ्रमात् रमा किलोपेत्यकरं रुरोदते त्रपाजुषोऽस्मात् पृथुकं बलादत प्रगृह्य मुष्टौ सकृताशिते त्वया कृतं नन्वियतेति सम्भ्रमात् रमा किलोपेत्यकरं रुरोदते
प्रपाजुषोऽस्मात् पृथुकं बलाधत प्रगृह्य मुष्टौ सकृदाशिते त्वया कृतं नन्वियतेति सम्भ्रमात् रमा किलोपेत्य करं रुरोधते त्रपाजुषोऽस्मात् पृथुकं बलाधत प्रगृह्य मुष्टौ सकृदाशिते त्वया कृतं नन्वियतेति सम्भ्रमात् रमा किलोपेत्यकरं रुरोधते.
That's a seven. Bhakteshu bhaktena samanitasttvaya purim vasanneka nisha mahasukham bata paredhyurdravinam vinayayau vichitra rupastava khalvanugraha. So that night, Sudama then spends there with Krishna in Dwaraka. So he's fed sufficiently, a royal feast for him. He's staying in a royal bed. He's staying with, the greatest of places there. And it feels like he's already living in heaven, right? Now, for a person who's extremely poor, this was like a big upgrade that, he's living in a royal, rich palace and everything. But next morning comes and Sudama also doesn't open his mouth, right? He's just too embarrassed to even go ask Krishna to say, give me some money, right? Because he feels like that's going to spoil the friendship, right? So, he leaves everything and then the morning comes, they both depart, Krishna says bye, he says bye, and he's going. Then on the way back, he's just thinking to himself, that what a privilege I have, right? For somebody who's just so extremely poor, the king, the head is coming in, welcoming me in, making me sit, washing my feet. His wife is coming, fanning me, is giving me the richest of foods, right? I got to sleep in the royal bed, right? I had all of those things. He says it's really a great honor for me that I'm even getting this opportunity, right? So with that, he just thinks of this and then he's going back. Bhakteshu bhakte स मानितस्त्वया पुरीं वसन्नेक निशां महासुखं बतापरेद्युर्द्रविणं विना ययौ विचित्र रूपस्तव खल्वनुग्रहः. So the important thing by saying is your blessings are indeed true, Krishna, because Krishna doesn't want Sudama's mind to get deviated, right? So the true blessing to Sudama is not wanting wealth. Because the moment he wants wealth, then he's already deviating away from his true nature, right? So that is the blessing you gave Sudama, was not changing his mind and making him continue to remain the way that he is. Bhakteshu bhaktena samanitastwaya. Sorry, did I say the words? I forgot. Okay. Purim vasanneka nisham mahasukam bataparedhyurdravinam vinayayau vichitra rupastava khalvanugraha.
Bhakteshu bhaktena samanitastwaya purim vasanne kanisham mahasukam bataparedhyurdravinam vinayayau vichitra rupastava kalvanugrahah. Bhakteshu bhaktena samanitastwaya purim vasanne kanisham mahasukham bataparedhyurdravinam vinayayau vichitra rupastava kalvanugrahah.
Bhakteshu bhaktena samanitastwaya purim vasanne kanisham mahasukam bataparedhyurdravinam vinayayau vichitra rupastava kalvanugrahah. Bhakteshu bhaktena samanvitastvaya purim vasanne kanisham mahasukham bataparedhyurdravinam vinayayau vichitra rupastava kalvanugrahah.
The first line just before the comma, manitastvaya.
Manitastvaya.
Sansai. Yedi hyayachishyamadasyadachyuto vadami bharyam kimite vrajannaso twadukti nilasmitamagnadhif punaha kramada pashyan manidi pramalayam. So as he's thinking about this, he's also thinking at the same time, like when we get, because I'm the only man today here, so I can say it without hurting anybody. When you go to Costco or someplace and buy, the first thing you're worried about is making sure you bought everything your wife has said. So in his case, his wife said only one thing: go get money from Krishna, right? That was the only instruction he had. So he's thinking, of course, if I had asked Krishna for money, absolutely no doubt Krishna would have given me any amount of money, right? But I also didn't feel it. And Krishna also knows I'm super poor. And he intentionally didn't give me the money because he knows that if I get money, I'm going to get very arrogant, right? So I am now living, I'm struggling, yes, but at least I'm not arrogant. I'm leading a normal life. If I get more money, Krishna knows what's going to happen if I get money. I'm going to get arrogant. That's why Krishna also intentionally did not give me anything, right? So he's consoling himself that Krishna knows what is right and he's intentionally not given it to me. And he's thinking, but he's also wondering, what will I tell my wife when I go back? right? He has to have a story of what to tell, and he doesn't have a story. Anyway, so as he's then approaching, as he's approaching Sudamapuri, Porbandar at the time, so the place where his original house stood, right? Because it's been a few days and he comes back and he sees like a massive mansion there. He sees a lot of people there. He sees courtyards, gardens, and all of those things, and a lot of people attending. And that entire place has actually changed. Yadi hyayachishyam, break at that im there, hyayachishyam, then next word will start with the a. Adasyad achyuto. So if I had asked Achyuta. So hyayachishyam adasyad achyuto, comma, vadami bharyam kimiti vrajannasau, twadukti lila smita magna dhihi, put a f, magna dif punaha, comma, Kramada Pashyan Mani Deepram Alayam. So you see something which is studded with gems and everything, with money, diamonds and gems and everything. Yadi hyaya chishyam adasyadachyuto vadami bharyam kimite vrajannasau twadukti lila smita magnadhif punaha kramada pashyan manidi pramalayam.
यदि ह्ययाचिष्यम् अदास्यद् अच्युतो वदामि भार्यां किमिति व्रजन्नसौ त्वदुक्तिलीलास्मितमग्नदीः पुनः क्रमादपश्यन्मणिदि प्रमालयम् यदि ह्ययाचिष्यम् अदास्यद् अच्युतो वदामि भार्यां किमिति व्रजन्नसौ त्वदुक्तिलीलास्मितमग्नदीः पुनः क्रमादपश्यन्मणिदि प्रमालयम्
यदि ह्ययाचिष्म यदि ह्ययाचिष्म sorry
Shyam
यदि ह्ययाश्चिम् अदास्यत् अच्युतो वदामि भार्यां किमिति व्रजन्नसौ त्वदुक्तिलीलास्मितमग्नदिः पुनः क्रमादपश्यन्मणिदि प्रमालयम्.
Harini, and the first one. Hyayachishyam.
ह्ययाचिष्यम्. ह्ययाचिष्यम्. Okay. यदि ह्ययाचिष्यम् अदास्यत् अच्युतो वदामि भार्यां किमिति व्रजन्नसौ त्वदुक्तिलीलास्मितमग्नदिः पुनः क्रमादपश्यन्मणिदि प्रमालयम्.
किं मार्गविभ्रंश इति भ्रमन् क्षणं गृहं प्रविष्टः सददर्श वल्लभां सखी परीतामणिहेमभूषितां भुबोध च त्वत्करुणां महाद्भुताम्. So when he's wondering, if I've lost my way or something, because this never used to be my house like this, right? But my house used to be here. So then then his wife also comes. He sees his wife. She's all decked up like how Rukmini was. So she's all decked up. They have a lot of servants, all of those things. So at that time, he comes to know, yes, how can I think that Krishna doesn't know what is right for me? How can I even assume that, right? He knows what is right for me. I don't have to explicitly ask, because the moment he's asking for something, that means that he wants something, right? And that's what will lead to, and then you get more wealth, you get arrogant. But if Krishna knows that you need to get something, he will give it. So that he realizes, because his wife thinks somehow he's asked and Krishna has given whatever he had asked for. But Sudama knows that it is all his blessing, that I absolutely had nothing to do with this. He felt the time was right for me to get it, and therefore I got it as well. Kim marga vibhramsha iti brahman kshanam, comma, griham pravishtaha, put is pravishtas sa dadarsha vallabham sakhi paritam mani hema bhushitam, comma, bubhoda cha tvat karunam mahadbhutam. Kim marga vibhramsha iti brahman kshanam griham pravishtas sa dadarsha vallabham sakhi paritam mani hema bhushitam bhubhoda cha tvat karunam mahadbhutam.
किं मार्गविभ्रम
Do we have here Bubodha cha?
Yeah, bubodha cha.
In my book, it's not there. It
Okay.
was.
विभ्रंश इति भ्रमन् क्षणं गृहं प्रविष्टः स ददर्श वल्लभां सखीपरीतां मणिहेमभूषितां बुबोध च त्वत्करुणां महाद्भुतां किं मार्गविभ्रंश इति भ्रमन् क्षणं गृहं प्रविष्टः स ददर्श वल्लभां सखीपरीतां मणिहेमभूषितां बुबोध च त्वत्करुणां महाद्भुताम्
किं मार्गविभ्रंश इति भ्रमन् क्षणं गृहं प्रविष्टः स ददर्श वल्लभां सखीपरीतां मणिहेमभूषितां बुबोध च त्वत्करुणां महाद्भुताम् किं मार्गविभ्रंश इति भ्रमन् क्षणं गृहं प्रविष्टः स ददर्श वल्लभां सखीपरीतां मणिहेमभूषितां बुबोध च त्वत्करुणां महाद्भुताम्.
We'll switch halfway. Padmaja Ramesh can be a student and Shailaja can be. Sarat Nashal. Shailaja Praveen. Sorry, Nishal. सरत्नशालासु वसन्नपि स्वयं समुन्नमद्भक्तिभरो मृतं ययौ त्वमेव मा पूरितभक्तवाञ्छितो मरुत्पुराधीश हरस्व मे गधान्. So with that, he continued living in the Ratnashala, so in that building which is filled with diamonds and everything, gems and everything for a long period of time. But because he was ready for it, right, and he didn't get attached to that wealth, he still continued to live his life of not getting distracted, keeping his mind focused, and eventually he then attained liberation at your feet. So with this Guru Arpa, who takes care of all of your devotees like this, please eradicate my ailments also. Sa Ratna Shalasu Vasannapi Swayam, Samunnamad Bhakti Bharomritam Yayau Tvameva Mapurita Bhakta Vanchito, Marutpuradhisha Haraswa Me Gadan. Saratnashalasu Vasannapi Swayam Samunnamad Bhakti Bharomritam Yayau Tvameva Mapurita Bhakta Vanchito Marutpuradhisha Haraswa Me Gadan.
सरत्नशालेषु वसन्नपि स्वयं समुन्नमद्भक्तिभरोमृतं ययौ त्वमेव मा पूरितभक्तवाञ्छितो मरुत्पुराधीश हरस्व मे गदान् सरत्नशालासु वसन्नपि स्वयं समुन्नमद्भक्तिभरोमृतं ययौ त्वमेव मा पूरितभक्तवाञ्छितो मरुत्पुराधीश हरस्व मे गदान्
सरत्नशालासु वसन्नपि स्वयं समुन्नमद्भक्तिभरोमृतं ययौ त्वमेव मा पूरितभक्तवाञ्छितो मरुत्पुराधीश हरस्व मे गदान् सरत्नशालासु वसन्नपि स्वयं समुन्नमद्भक्तिभरोमृतं ययौ त्वमेव मा पूरितभक्तवाञ्छितो मरुत्पुराधीश हरस्व मे गदान्.
Shailaja, I meant Shailaja Praveen. Sorry. Shailaja, Shailaja Praveen, next stanza, and you can do it. Okay. Sorry for the confusion. We have multiple people with the same names. Lalita, Shailaja, Padmaja.
8 people, right? We have 8 people with same names.
Same. I know. Exactly. We have Lalita, 2 Lalitas also. Yeah. All right. Okay. Dashakam 88. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Dashakam 88. Santana Gopalo Pakhyanam. So this is one of those Dashakam which you'll always have mixed feelings. That is, I have mixed feelings because it's a beautiful Dashakam. Absolutely love, one of my favorite. But also it's the last Dashakam of Krishna Avataram, right? So the entire journey that we did from Dashakam 37 is finally coming to an end in 88. And luckily, for me at least, I started 37 for a different batch yesterday, so I still can look forward to, because this 37 to 88, you can put it on a repeat cycle and do it any number of times and not feel bored, right? Anyway, so this is the last, the end of Krishna Avataram in this Narayaneeyam is in Dasakam 88. Stanza 1. प्राघेवाचार्यपुत्राहिति निशमनया स्वीयषट्सूनुवीक्षां काङ्क्षन्त्या मातुरुक्त्या सुतलभुवि बलिं प्राप्यते नार्चितस्त्वं धातुशापाधिरण्यान्वितकशिपु भवान् शौरिजान् कंसभग्नान् आनीयैनान् प्रदर्श्य स्वपदमनयताः पूर्वपुत्रान् मरीचेः. So this, this Santana Gopalo Pakyanam, of Santana Gopala Murti, right? So I think in Cochin, there is a temple called Purna Trayesha temple. If you ever go that side, Tripunatra Cochin, where the deity is Santana Gopala, right? The Bhagavan is, Krishna is worshipped as Santana Gopala. Santana Gopala generally means one who takes care of children, protects children, newborn, unborn, children, right? So the story in this goes that after a long time, after the Mahabharata war and all is over, one day Devaki is going and, addressing Krishna and Balarama, saying that, Krishna, you and Balarama went and saved your teacher's son. So, if in Dashakam 76, Putram Nashtam Nyamanilayanad Ahritam Dakshinartham, and Sandipani's wife, he goes and asks, what do you want? She says, my son has disappeared. You have to rescue my son. So, he says, Krishna, you went and rescued your guru's son, right? So, you rescued your guru's son, but I lost 6 children. Right? So finally, she's coming and asking, what happened to my 6 children? Why did you not save my 6 children? What happened to those 6 children? Right? So at that time, Krishna is telling her the backstory of why those 6 children were actually lost and why they cannot come back. Right? So he goes on and says that, in long time back, right? In the case of when, goes back to Hiranyakashipu's time. So first, before that also, Marichi, he had 6 sons. That's why Purva Putran Mariche. That's Marichi, the sage, had 6 children. So those 6 children, because they were all sons of Marichi, they're all great sages, great ascetics. One day they had ridiculed Brahma for whatever reason. So they all got a curse. Those 6 children got a curse. So as part of that curse, they were actually born in the lineage of Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu had Prahlada, right? Who was a great devotee. He had another son called Kalanemi. That Kalanemi was who did the battle, with Brahma and with Vishnu and all of that. So anyway, so that Kalanemi was again born as Kamsa. If you remember, when Kamsa died, they said Kalanemi. You kept thinking about him. So this Kalanemi fought with Vishnu in Dasakam 28. Then he's born again as Kamsa, who's then gotten rid by Krishna. So Kalanemi had 6 children at that point, who then, they had a problem with their father and and they were not worshipping because Kalanemi was worshipping Hiranyakashipu. But the 6 sons of Kalanemi were not worshipping Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu felt bad, tells Kalanemi that you do not have control over your sons, right? Your sons are not worshipping me. So with that, another curse happens because of which the father, Kalanemi, will kill his 6 children because they are not following his instructions. Because they are all powerful people, they can give all these curses. But those 6 children are divine sages who then had gotten cursed. So again, this is lineage, right? Kalanemi, who Vishnu killed, born again as Kamsa. That Kalanemi had 6 children who were cursed, who were then born as the Shadgarbha to Devaki. So as part of this birth, they had to just take their karma was such that they just had to take birth to die at the hands of Kamsa, and then they are going to be fine, right? That was all that was left in their karma bucket. So that's why the 6 children were born. They were then killed by Kamsa just for the sake, because the soul doesn't die, it's just the body. So they just had to undergo staying in the garbham of Devaki. Each of the 6 children, the moment they are born, Kamsa kills them, they are gotten rid of, their karma has come to an end. Right? And they are all liberated, those sages who were originally sons of Marichi. So that is this backstory, entire backstory that Krishna actually tells. And Krishna, what he does is, he then brings those 6, of course, people who are dead, you cannot bring them back. But Krishna is bringing a version of them just in front of Devaki to say, your 6 children are fine. Their body is gone, but their souls are complete. They are all liberated souls right now. You cannot wish for them to come back. You as a mother may want them to come back. but they are not going to come back because the soul is already on a journey of getting liberated, and they're not going to be born back to you, even though you may cry that you lost your children, right? So that is the example that first Krishna does of helping Devaki realize that her 6 children are fine. They have just moved on, and the reason for why Kamsa had to get rid of them and why those 6 children had to be born. Because, a lot of people ask the question, why did the 6 children have to get killed? Why can't Krishna be born as number 1 and get rid of Kamsa? Because there are residual karma that Kamsa had, all the 6 children had, because of which this logic had to flow. Anyway, so Prage Vacharya Putrahriti Nishamanaya, Swiya Shat Sunuviksham, Kankshantya Maturuktya, Sutala Bhuvi Balim Prapya Tenarchitas Tvam. Praghe Vacharya Putra Hriti Nishamanaya Swiya Shatsunu Viksham Kankshantya Maturuktya Sutala Bhuvi Balim Prapyate Narchitastvam.
प्रागे वाचार्यपुत्राहृति निशमनया स्वीयषट्सूनुवीक्षां काङ्क्षन्त्या मातुरुक्त्या सुतलभुवि बलिं प्राप्यते नार्चितस्त्वम् प्रागे वाचार्यपुत्राहृति निशमनया स्वीयषट्सूनुवीक्षां काङ्क्षन्त्या मातुरुक्त्या सुतलभुवि बलिं प्राप्यते नार्चितस्त्वम्
प्रागे वाचार्यपुत्रा हृतिनिशमनया स्वीयशत्सूनुवीक्षां कङ्क्षन्त्या मातुरुक्त्या सुतलभुवि बलिं प्राप्यते नार्चितस्त्वम्.
Well, the second line, first word, Kankshantya.
Kankshantya, okay. प्रागेवाचार्यपुत्रा हृतिनिशमनया स्वीयशत्सूनुवीक्षां काङ्क्षन्त्या मातुरुक्त्या सुतलभुवि बलिं प्राप्यते नार्चितस्त्वम्.
Dhatuhu, put a ish. Dhatush Shapad Dhiranyanvita Kashipu Bhavan, Shaurijan Kamsa Bhagnan in at the end of that line, Kamsa Bhagnan in, Next line, the na becomes a Aniyainan Pradarshya Swapadam Anayataha, Purva Putran Marichehe. Swapadam. So eventually those 6 children get liberated. Dhatushapa Vitakashipu Bhavan Shaurijan Kamsa Bhagnan Aniyainan Pradarshya Swapadam Purva Putran Marichehe.
धातुशापाद्धिरण्यान्वितकशिपु भवान् सौरिजान् कंसभग्नान् आनीयैनान् प्रदर्श्य स्वपदम् अनयथाः पूर्वपुत्रान् मरीचेः धातुशापाद्धिरण्यान्वितकशिपु भवान् शौरिजान् कंसभग्नान् आनीयैनान् प्रदर्श्य स्वपदम् अनयथाः पूर्वपुत्रान् मरीचेः
धातुशापादिरण्यान् वितकशिपु भवान् शौरिजान् कंसभग्नान् आनीयैनान् प्रदर्श्य स्वपदमनयताः पूर्वपुत्रान् मरीचेः. जातुशापादिरण्यान् वितकशिपु भवान् शौरिजान् कंसभग्नान् आनीयैनान् प्रदर्श्य स्वपदमनयताः पूर्वपुत्रान् मरीचेः.
Stanza 2, tune changes. Shrutadeva iti shrutam dvijendram bahulashvam nripatim cha bhakti purnam yugapatvam anugrahitu kamo mithilam prapita tapasai samhetah. This is different story. There's another story. That story is over as the first stanza. Then second and third stanza is going to be one story, and then a third one. So this another Dvijendra means one who is a head of Brahmin. Dvija Indra. It's a very topmost Brahmin. By name is Shrutadeva. So this Shrutadeva, he was a great devotee. So he's been messaging, telling Krishna that, you have to come, and meet me. He is in Mithila, right? So in the region of Mithila. So he's been telling you have to come and meet me and then spend some time with me. At the same time, there's a Nripati, it's a king who's also in the same region, whose name is Bahulashwa. So Bahulashwa also has been telling Krishna, he's also a great devotee. He's also has been telling that you have to come and meet me. So both of them have been telling. So everybody goes there, an entire entourage. It talks about how Narada goes, Markandeya goes, Atri, the sage goes, Shukabramam, who did Bhagavatam, everybody along with Krishna, everybody is going to Mithila to go meet this Bahulashwa and Shrutadeva there. Shrutadeva iti Shrutam Dvijendram, Bahulashvam Nripatim cha Bhakti Purnam Yugapat Tvam Anugrahitu, just breaking at that ma, Tvam Anugrahitu Kamo, Mithilam Prapita Tapasaihi, put is Tapasais Sametaha. Shrutadeva iti Shrutam Dvijendram Bahulashvam Nripatim cha Bhakti Purnam Yugapattvamanugrahitu Kamo Mithilam Prapita Tapasai Sametaha.
இங்க வர இந்த மிथिलाவும் ஜனகபுரியும் ஒண்ணுதானா?
Same thing. Yeah, Nepal.
श्रुतदेव इति श्रुतं द्विजेन्द्रं बहुलाश्वं नृपतिं च भक्तिपूर्णं युगपत्वम् अनुग्रहीतु कामो मिथिलां प्रापित तापसैः समेतः. श्रुतदेव इति श्रुतं द्विजेन्द्रं बहुलाश्वं नृपतिं च भक्तिपूर्णं युगपत्वम् अनुग्रहीतु कामो मिथिलां प्रापित तापसैः समेतः.
श्रुतदेव इति श्रुतं द्विजेन्द्रं बहुलाश्वं नृपतिं च भक्तिपूर्णं युगपत्वमनुग्रहीतु कामो मिथिलां प्रापित तापसैः समेतः. श्रुतदेव इति श्रुतं द्विजेन्द्रं बहुलाश्वं नृपतिं च भक्तिपूर्णं युगपत्वमनुग्रहीतु कामो मिथिलां प्रापित तापसैः समेतः.
Stanza 3. Stanza 3 also tune is different. Gachan Dvimurtirubayoryugapanniketam ekena bhuri vibhavair vihitopacharah anyena taddina bhritaischa palaudanadhyaihi tulyam prasedita dadachata muktimabhyam. So the reason this story is even said here, right? Because this is that nothing major is going to happen, right? In this context of the story here. But it is said, reason it is said is the Shrutadeva, who's the Brahmana, he doesn't have any mode of income. So he goes begs every day for alms. And whatever he gets is what he eats. So any guests also come, that's all they get to eat is whatever he gets by begging. But then Bahulashwa is a rich king. So he's going to throw an entire feast. So when they all go, so where will Krishna go first? Both of them are great devotees, right? So he has a conundrum of where do I go first? So it says, you, Krishna, just like, you take two different forms and you go to both of these houses at the same time. Because for you, both of them are equally important only because they both are equal devotees. Not because one is serving you rich food, one is serving you poor food. You go to both of their houses in parallel, right? You go and then make sure that both of them are actually satisfied. So that's all. The whole purpose here of telling this again is to re-emphasize that the quantity or the quality, none of that is important, right? It is just the devotion. Both of them are equally devoted. One of them ends up throwing a massive feast. He talked about how he gives Krishna, he welcomes him with sandalwood paste. He gives him clothes. He gives him ornaments and throws him a rich food. While this other Shrutadeva is just giving him leftover fruits and rice from whatever he had collected from Bhikshay that day. But both of them, you bless them and both of them are treated equally. Gachan Dvimurtir Ubhayor Yugapan Niketam, put a im at the end of that line, Niketam, comma. Next line, that Mekena becomes Ekena. Ekena Bhuri Vibhavair Vihitopacharaha Anyena Taddina Bhritaischa Palaudanadhyehi, again Visarga, comma, Palaudanadhyehi Next line, the is goes away. Tulyam prasedita dadata cha muktimabhyam. You give liberation to both of them. Gachan dvimurtirubhayoryugapanniketam ekena bhuri bhivavairvihitopacharah anyena taddina bhritaischa phalaudanadyaihi tulyam prasedita dadata cha muktimabhyam.
गच्छन् द्विमूर्तिरुभयोर्युगपन्निकेतम् एकेन भूरि विभवैर्विहितोपचारः अन्येन दत्तिन भृतैश्च फलौदनाद्यैः तुल्यं प्रसेदिथ ददाथ च मुक्तिमाभ्याम् गच्छन् द्विमूर्तिरुभयोर्युगपन्निकेतम् एकेन भूरि विभवैर्विहितोपचारः अन्येन दद्दिन भृतैश्च फलौदनाद्यैः तुल्यं प्रसेदिथ ददात च मुक्तिमाभ्याम्.
Here is Tulyam or Tulyam.
Tulyam, and the isu becomes a visarga at the end of the third line.
Okay.
Palaudanadhyehi.
Okay.
गच्छन् द्विमूर्तिरुभयोर्युगपन्निकेतम् एकेन भूरि विभवैर्विहितोपचारः अन्येन तद्दिनभृतैश्च फलौदनाद्यैः तुल्यं प्रसेदित ददात च मुक्तिमाभ्याम् गच्छन् द्विमूर्तिरुभयोर्युगपन्निकेतम् एकेन भूरि विभवैर्विहितोपचारः अन्येन तद्दिनभृतैश्च फलौदनाद्यैः तुल्यं प्रसेदित ददात च मुक्तिमाभ्याम्.
Stanza 4. भूयो तद्वारवत्यां द्विजतनयमृतिं तत्प्रलापानपेत्वं को वा दैवं निरुन्ध्यादिति किल कथयन् विश्वबोढाप्यसोढाः जिष्णोर्गर्वं विनेतुं त्वयि मनुजदिया कुण्ठितां चास्य बुद्धिं तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपदप्रेक्षणेनेति मन्ये. New story is going to start for the rest of the Dashakam. So, well after Mahabharata war and everything, Krishna is in Dwaraka, everything is going fine, region is prosperous. There was one Brahmana in Dwaraka whose children kept dying. Like first his child was born and the child dies. When it happens a second time, the child is dying again when it is born. So, naturally he comes to Krishna because Krishna is the ruler. So he comes and tells that you have to do something, because you as a ruler, whatever good deeds you perform impacts all the citizens, right, of the region and everything. And Krishna says, I can't do anything because, Kova Daivam, I don't know what is your fate. I don't know what your fate is, that I can't control what is happening of your children actually dying. So that's what Krishna is actually telling that Brahmana. At the same time, this news is spreading and Mahabharata war is over and Arjuna feels, when Arjuna refused to fight, Krishna taught him Bhagavad Gita and all that, then he fought. But after the war is over, people end up forgetting, right? So Arjuna still had this garvam saying that the Mahabharata war was won because of Arjuna. Arjuna had that pride in him, saying that it is because of me that we actually won the Mahabharata war, and he was having all that. So because of that, what happened is he started treating you, Krishna, as a Tvai Manuja Dhiya. He started treating you as a normal human being instead of being the great Krishna that you are. He kind of something went wrong. Arjuna started thinking that way. So anyway, so all of this is happening. And here, that's one story happening. Arjuna thinking that way. Here, the Brahmana's child or children keep dying as they are actually born. So few children like that, he keeps losing. Bhuyota dvaravatyam, dvija tanaya mritim tat pralapanapi tvam, kova daivam nirundhyaditi kila kathayan, vishwa vodhapya sodhaha. Bhuyo tadvaravatyam dvijatanaya mritim tat pralapanapi tvam kova daivam nirundhyaditi kila kathayan vishwa vodhapya sodhaha.
भूयोऽथ द्वारवत्यां द्विजतनयमृतिं तत्प्रलापानपेत्वं तत्प्रलापानपि त्वं को वा दैवं निरुन्ध्यादिति किल कथयन् विश्ववोढाभ्यसोढाः भूयोऽथ द्वारवत्यां द्विजतनयमृतिं तत्प्रलापानपि त्वं को वा दैवं निरुन्ध्यादिति किल कथयन् विश्ववोढाप्यसोढाः
भूयो तद्वारवत्यां द्विजतनयमृतिं तत्प्रलापानपि त्वं को वा दैवं निरुन्ध्यादिति किल कथयन् विश्ववोढाप्यसोढाः भूयो तद्वारवत्यां द्विजतनयमृतिं तत्प्रलापानपि त्वं को वा दैवं निरुन्ध्यादिति किल कथयन् विश्ववोढाप्यसोढाः.
Jishno refers to Arjuna here. Jishnor garvam vinetum, comma, tvayi manuja dhiya kunthitham chasya buddhim, comma, tatvarudham vidhatum, comma, paramatama pada prekshaneneti manye. जिष्णोर्गर्भं विनेतुं त्वयि मनुजधिया कुण्ठितां चास्य बुद्धिं तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपदप्रेक्षणे नेति मन्ये.
Rajesh, you said Jishnu means Arjun?
Yeah, Jishnu is Arjuna.
जिष्णोर्गर्वं विनेतुं त्वयि मनुजधिया कुण्ठितां चास्य बुद्धिं तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपदप्रेक्षणे नेति मन्ये जिष्णोर्गर्वं विनेतुं त्वयि मनुजधिया कुण्ठितां चास्य बुद्धिं तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपदप्रेक्षणे नेति मन्ये
जिष्णोर्गर्वं विनेतुं त्वयि मनुजधिया कुण्ठितां चास्य बुद्धिं तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपदप्रेक्षणे नेति मन्ये जिष्णोर्गर्वं विनेतुं त्वयि मनुजधिया कुण्ठितां चास्य बुद्धिं तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपदप्रेक्षणे नेति मन्ये.
I'm intentionally not saying the meaning or context of why the Paramatama is coming here because that will reveal the plot. So I'll tell that much later in the class. Stanza 5. Nashta ashtasya putraha punarapi tavatu pekshaya kashtavadaha spashto jato jananam atatadavasare dwarakama papartaha मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोधं श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञाम् अनुपहृतसुतः सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्. So like this, it keeps happening, right? The Brahmana keeps having children every year. Every year, the child is born, the child dies. And he's lost 8 children. Ashtasya putraha. 8 children have passed. And every time he comes to Krishna and says, Krishna, you have to do something. I lost my child. And Krishna is like, I can't do anything. It is fate. And then if the word spread saying that, why is Krishna not doing anything about it? You know, has he kind of lost his charm? Has he lost his ability to protect because he has done so many things? He's not doing anything this time. So at that time, once Arjuna happens to come to Dwaraka because Arjuna is Krishna's best buddy also and plus his brother-in-law, right? Subhadra is married. So he comes and then he stays for a long time at Dwaraka. So at that time, one of the day, the Brahmana comes again. And so Arjuna knows that this Brahmana has lost 8 children. Krishna has not done something. The Brahmana comes and says, Krishna, I have lost my 9th child, right? You are not able to do anything to protect me. Why are you not doing anything? So at that time, Arjuna is like, okay, this has to come to a stop. You know, he says like, I have won the Mahabharata war and how can I not prevent the child from dying? So Arjuna comes and tells that the Brahmana that this time I'm going to stay here for 1 year and I'm going to make sure your child doesn't die, right? It's my vow that your child is not going to die. So the Brahmana says, Arjuna, I'm not sure because Krishna is not able to do something, Shankarshana, Balarama is not able to do something, Pradyumna is not able to do something, all this Dwaraka, nobody can do anything to protect my child from dying. How are you saying? You seem very proud that you can say, you can save my child. So Arjuna says, I am the wielder of the Ghandiva bow, and if your next child dies and I cannot protect it, I'm going to jump into the fire and I'm going to self-immolate. I'm going to kill myself. That is the vow that Arjuna takes. Nashta ashtasya putraha, punarapi tava tu pekshaya kashtavadaha spashto jato jananam, put im there, jananam. Next word starts with a. Atha tadavasare dwarakāmāpa pārtaha. Nashta ashtasya putraha punarapi tavatu pekshaya kashtavadaha spashto jato jananam atha tadavasare dwarakāmāpa pārtaha.
नष्टा अष्टास्य पुत्राः पुनरपि तव तूपेक्षया कष्टवादः स्पष्टो जातो जनानाम् अथ तदवसरे द्वारकामापपार्थः नष्टा अष्टास्य पुत्राः पुनरपि तव तूपेक्षया कष्टवादः स्पष्टो जातो जनानाम् अथ तदवसरे द्वारकामापपार्थः
नष्टा अष्टास्य पुत्राः पुनरपि तव तु पेक्षया कष्टवादः स्पष्टो जातो जनानाम् अथ तदवसरे द्वारकामापपार्थः नष्टा अष्टास्य पुत्राः पुनरपि तव तु पेक्षया कष्टवादः स्पष्टो जातो जनानाम् अथ तदवसरे द्वारकामापपार्थः
मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ, नवम सुत मृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोधं, श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञां, ब्रेकिंग एट दैट मा, प्रतिज्ञां अनुपहृत सुतः, सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्. मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोधं श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञामनुपहृतसुतः सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्.
मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोधम् श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञामनुपहृतसुतः सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्. मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोदं श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञाम् अनुपहृतसुतः सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्.
मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोदं श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञामनुपहृतसुतः सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्. मैत्र्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोदं श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञामनुपहृतसुतः सन्निवेक्ष्ये कृशानुम्.
मानीषत्वामपृष्ट्वा द्विजनिलयगतो बाणजालैर्महास्त्रैः रुन्धानः सूतिगेहं पुनरपि सहसा दृष्टनष्टे कुमारे यां यामैन्द्रीं तथान्याः सुरवरनगरीर्विद्यया साध्य सद्यो मोगोद्योगः पतिष्यन् हुतभुजि भवता सस्मितं वारितोऽभूत्. We won't have time for the meaning because that continuity will be lost between this and the next stanza. So I'll say it in the next class. Mani sa tvama prishtva, dvija nilaya gato Bana Jalair Mahastraihi. So you may not have a visarga in some books. Add it Mahastraihi, comma. Rundhanaha, put is Rundhanas Suti Geham, comma. Punarapi Sahasa Drishta Nashte Kumare. Manhi Satvama Prishtva Dvijanilayagato Banajalairmahastraihi Rundhanasuti Geham Punarapi Sahasa Drishtanashte Kumare.
माने सत्त्वामपृष्ट्वा द्विजनिलयगतो बाणजालैर्महास्त्रैः रुन्धानः सूतिगेहं पुनरपि सहसा दृष्टनष्टे कुमारे माने सत्त्वामपृष्ट्वा द्विजनिलयगतो बाणजालैर्महास्त्रैः रुन्धानः सूतिगेहं पुनरपि सहसा दृष्टनष्टे कुमारे
मानी सत्त्वामपृष्ट्वा द्विजनिलयगतो बाणजालैर्महास्त्रैः रुन्दानः सूतिगेहं पुनरपि सहसा दृष्टनष्टे कुमारे मानी सत्त्वामपृष्ट्वा द्विजनिलयगतो बाणजालैर्महास्त्रैः रुन्दानः सूतिगेहं पुनरपि सहसा दृष्टनष्टे कुमारे
Yam yam aindrim tathanyaha, comma, Suravara Nagarir, ir sound, Nagarir, Vidyaya Sadhya, one word, Vidyaya Sadhya Sadhyo, comma, Mogodhyogaha, put a F to join, Mogodhyogaf, Patishyan Hutabhuji, comma, Bhavata Sasmitam Varito Bhut. Yam hyam aindhrim tathanyaha Suravara Vidyaya Sadhya Sadhyo Moghodhyogaf Patishyan Hutabhuji Bhavata Sasmitam Varito Bhut.
यां याम् ऐन्द्रीं तथान्याः सुरवरनगरीर्विद्यया साद्य सद्यो मोघोद्योगः पतिष्यन् हुतभुजि भवता सस्मितं वारितोऽभूत् यां याम् ऐन्द्रीं तथान्याः सुरवरनगरीर्विद्यया साद्य सद्यो मोघोद्योगः पतिष्यन् हुतभुजि भवता सस्मितं वारितोऽभूत्
यां याम् ऐन्द्रीं ततान्याः सुरवरनगरीर्विद्यया साद्य सद्यो मोघोद्योगः पतिष्यन् हुतभुजि भवता सस्मितं वारितोऽभूत् यां याम् ऐन्द्रीं ततान्याः सुरवरनगरीर्विद्यया साद्य सद्यो मोघोद्योगः पतिष्यन् हुतभुजि Bhavata sasmitam varito bhut.
In the class here today, Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam Kaladeshavaribhyam Nirmuktam Nityamuktam Nigamashata Sahasrena Nirbhasyamanam Aspashtam Drishtamatre Punarurupurushartatmakam Brahmatattvam Tattavadbhati Sakshad Guru Pavanapure Anta Bhagyam Jananam Kahena Vacha Manasendriyedva Buddhyatmana Va Prakrite Swabhavat Karumi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanahi Samarpayami.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rajesh.
Rajesh.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rajesh.
everyone.
Namaste.
Bye.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye.